Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Talkin Schmoedown. This is episode number 46, and it is a good one. There's some great matches this past week. Star Wars, couple of Innergeekdom matches. It's going to be a hell of a time talking about it. I'm so excited, and I hope you guys are too. Before, though, I get into all the matches and everything, I just wanted to say, I kind of was going to apologize, I guess, that, coming to you a little bit late this week. I had some stuff go down, some family tragedy kind of stuff happened, so I had to push the episode this week. Originally, I wanted to do all these on Saturdays. I had some stuff come up, and then on Sunday, I was hoping to maybe be able to get it out on Sunday, but that wasn't able, but here we are. We're here on Monday, and I'm excited. I guess I'm going to be going back to back with another podcast, so I apologize, guys. But it is what it is. It's not my typical day. But I'm real excited to get into everything about what happened last week in the Schmoedown. I know we had Ken Napzok versus Ace Cabrera, which is a great Star Wars match. Then we had Alex Damon versus Jen Kempe, and Jeannine the Machine versus John Humphrey. Good, solid stuff, and I'm super, super pumped to talk about it. But before I get into the matches, Christian Harloff on, I think it was on Thursday's episode of SEN Live, gave a big announcement about the future of the singles division, I guess you could say, and that there's going to be a 36-player singles tournament. It's being planned, and it is going to lead into this year's Schmoedown Spectacular on December 6th of 2020. So that's going to be hell of a back half of the year for the Schmoedown. I am pumped to see who all these 36 competitors wind up being. It's going to be a massive bracket, and I am excited to get that bracket and break it down for you guys. I also want to talk a little bit about Schmoedown backstage. Every week they have Schmoedown backstage. You got John Roca, you got Ben Bateman, two fantastic guys. I love both of them, and I'm so happy that they are. I talked about this last week. I'm thrilled that they are the ones hosting this show now. Ever since I started watching the Schmoedown and kind of wanting to know more about it, and like I talked about last week, how falling in love with Inside Schmoedown with Ken Napzok and wanting it to be more, and then when they planned it to be more and it never happened, I was bummed. But then when Schmoedown Backstage happened, when the SEN network happened, man, they brought something special, and I loved Harloff as the host, but I think that John and Ben really bring something special as a duo hosting this whole show, and they bring on some great guests. And this week was no different. They had both Molly and Alex Damon. They had Brandon the Hitman Hanna. They had Joseph Scrimshaw on there, and of course Ben Goddard, who I believe he moderates the chat, and so he's always there, and he likes to pop in. So and he's always fantastic to have on the show. They talked about a lot of great stuff. Molly talked a lot about her match that she had, some of the challenges that went down during that match, how she didn't really care for all that stuff, but that's the game, unfortunately, when it comes to that. And she even talked a little bit about how she didn't want to be in a faction with her husband Alex, and how she was glad that it kind of shook out that way, where they were on different sides, because she really wants to go head to head with him for the title, and I think she's got a damn good shot at it. John went on a bit to talk about how it could take you up to a year, really, to break in to championship level to the Innergeekdom. And I kind of wanted to dive in a little bit on that. Now, when you say, it could take you a year, realistically, what you're talking about is somebody who has not a lot of, Innergeekdom. Because I do not believe for one second that somebody who knows, who's really into this kind of world, would take them a year to be at championship level. Now obviously if they're not currently studying, it's going to take time. I don't see it taking a year. But if you have somebody like, let's say, a Jeff Snyder, he doesn't like this kind of stuff. Okay. Now if he decided randomly that he's like, you know what, I want to dominate another division. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna actually try. I'm gonna put my opinions about the genres aside, and I'm actually gonna try Innergeekdom. I think a guy like him that could take that solid year. So I think those are the kinds of players that when Roka says a year, I think that's what you're talking about, really. Otherwise, I think 6 months and you're probably good to go. Really, I do. Because you also a big part of it is that gameplay. You could have all the knowledge in the world, but being under the lights and being in the match itself and understanding the gameplay, that's a big part of it. And we've seen that with a lot of great competitors, great knowledgeable competitors, but when they get into their matches, they make simple mistakes or they get nervous under the lights and things like that. So it's a lot more than just about the knowledge and the prep. It's about being in there and having that experience as well. Now, yes, I've never had that experience, but I can tell you what, I guarantee you, if I were to be in there, I probably wouldn't do as well as I do just sitting on my couch. And that's just the way it is. And anybody who tries to tell you different, they're blowing smoke up your ass. I firmly believe that. Um, so we also, like I said, Brendan Hanna came on the show. Continuing to be his arrogant ass clown self as usual. I so hope that he is not this person in real life, because I don't see how anybody would be able to stand him if that was the case. I don't believe that he is. From what I have heard, like outside of that, he's actually a real cool dude. But yeah, he's this character that he's putting on throughout the last few weeks, man, he's pushing some buttons, and we'll get into that a bit more during the Star Wars match. He shows up there, and I'll be talking a bit more about him there. And then Joseph Scrimshaw, man, this dude, he seems like a real cool guy. I like the kind of dude who you could just hang out with, chill out, and just watch some Star Wars. Sure, why not? I think he seems like a real cool dude. I totally hang out with him. So yeah, I mean, really, that was the that was backstage for you. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of like groundbreaking stuff on there, but I mean, that's not what I don't expect that all the time, really. I just expect him to kind of dive into things, talk to people, and just have an interesting conversation. Yeah, it's 2 hours, and maybe I didn't pull that much out of it, but it was an entertaining watch nonetheless, and I love watching. If you guys aren't watching the Schmoedown backstage, I highly recommend it. All right, so we are going to get into our first match, and that is Ken Napzok versus Andres Cabrera, the pit boss versus the squad leader Ace. That is right. In a Star Wars Round 1 tournament match. I am so excited to talk about this one. I'll be honest, I was actually really looking forward to this one because finally getting to see Ken back in action. I mean, it's been a while. He's a former champion. This dude is a legend. I know that, during this, Christian slipped and said, called him a former legend. He didn't mean to, but I love how Ken runs with that during it. But he is a legend, and no matter what happened in this match, he deserves all the respect in the world. All right, so let's start getting into some stuff here. All right, so prior to this match, Brandon Hanna put out this promo announcing his desire to take over as manager of the Burning Druids. He said that he could manage Ken to a victory, but he still made the whole thing about himself. And to his own right, that hey, good for you. You want to play that part? You're doing a job. Whether it's a good job or not, it's a job. But when I saw this promo, it got me thinking. At the beginning of the season, or heck, I feel like at the end of even last season when they were talking about the fact that they were managers, but I know at the beginning of the season when Robert Meyer Burnett had that match against Andrew Guy, there was a whole lot of talk about, well, if the whole thing was supposed to be, if you're our manager, you are not competing. End of story. The only reason was because it was a special stipulation that that Ben got to choose whoever it was. Didn't that's just the way it was, and so that's why he had the ability to play that match. So it got me thinking, if Brandon Hanna really wants to take over as the manager, then it's only fair that he no longer gets to compete. I mean, that was the rule, and that's how it should be. It shouldn't be an exception made for Brandon Hanna. There just shouldn't. If he wants to actually be the manager of the Burning Druids, then he needs to say, I am willing to step back from competition. And that's it. Otherwise, they need to find somebody else. And that is why I personally think it should be Ken. I don't know if Ken wants anything to actually do with the Schmoedown anymore. I don't know. But I think he would be good. I mean, I loved him as manager before. And so I think it would be actually awesome to see him take over as the manager here. And then you could kind of play on that kind of like heat and back and forth between him and Hanna, that friction there, because, Hanna trying to take over and the way he treats Ken in this match. If you watch this match, you saw he treats Ken like shit. He plays up the asshole that he's doing, and he plays it up hard and treats Ken like garbage. So if Ken all of a sudden usurps him in the power rankings of this faction, I think it could be a fascinating kind of dynamic between the two. So I would love to see it be Ken taking over there. But yeah, because Ken's not going to compete anymore, so it wouldn't matter. But if they allowed Brandon Hanna to be the manager and still compete, that just doesn't seem fair to me. I don't know. That was a big thing at the beginning of the season, that a manager cannot play. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't actually think that Hanna will actually be the manager, but I guess we'll have to see. So we got into round one, and they actually have a countdown timer now, which I think is kind of awesome. You don't see it in either of the other two matches because they were all filmed prior to this, but since these ones are live, you actually got to see this. They have that 15-second countdown clock, and Christian still couldn't follow the time a few times on it. He would go over it a couple times. It was kind of funny to watch him getting used to this countdown timer, which he apparently didn't know there was. So I thought that was cool. Ken got close quite a few times during this first round. It was rough for him, but he came close. I mean, realistically, it was rough for both of them. 7-6 in favor of Ace at the end. I mean, when you're in a division like Star Wars, and I have said before that I think that the Star Wars division is by far the most elite, I think. Simply for the fact that with the Innergeekdom, yes, you need to know a lot more movies, sure, but they don't go nearly as deep, as often at least as deep, as they do with the Star Wars division. It's insane. Every single player has to be championship level. Every player. Otherwise, you are not going anywhere. And I love both of these guys, but I'm just not seeing that right now. I mean, like I said, Ken's not. He's done. He really is. But Ace, man, I hope that he kicks it up a notch and gets better. But missing 3 questions in round 1, that's not good, man. That is not good at all. So we get into round 2. Ace spins Revenge of the Sith. After a little bit of deliberation, decides to keep it. Now you see this a lot in the Star Wars division. They a lot of times the players tend not to spin away. Yes, it happens sometimes, but a lot of times it doesn't, because and that's the whole point. It's with the Star Wars, with the majority of the Star Wars players who are great, and most of them are, uh, they don't really have any weaknesses in here. They know all of the stuff, and that's what I think makes it a bit more elite. Um, yeah, and I'm sure that there are people who are going to disagree with me, and that's totally fine. I welcome some spirited debate and disagreement. That is totally okay. And as you can see, I'm wearing my Father's Day Dadalorian shirt that I got for Father's Day yesterday. Repping some Star Wars, yeah. Yeah. He did okay. Ace did okay. He got 7 points here. But again, like I said, if you want to be top upper echelon of Star Wars division here, you can't be 3 points in round one, 3 points in round two. You can't be doing that, man. You gotta know this stuff. You can't be missing questions. He missed one. Luckily for him, there wasn't a steal, but that could have really that could have messed him up. Stuff like that can really hurt you. Multiple choice, I guess sometimes you do have to go there, but you got to know these answers. I mean, just look at that Scrimshaw Malanta match. They both had perfect games, not perfect rounds, perfect games, and it came down to sudden death. But they did not miss neither of them missed a single question in all three of their rounds. That's the kind of play, and that's the kind of player that Alex Damon is. I've seen on more than one occasion him get a perfect game. So you can't be leaving 6 points off the table, in those first two rounds. It just have it happen. It just no, it can't happen. Otherwise, you're just not going to make it, unfortunately. So then, before Ken even gets to spin, Hannah's making it all about himself, and essentially talking shit about Ken, and it's just not good manager tactic. And this is a big reason why I don't think that Hannah will be a manager. It's like he's not manager material, not at all. I'll be honest, Robert Meyer Burnett wasn't really that good of a manager either. So, but I do think Ken would be. He was a great manager before. I think he would be great now. And the way he's able to kind of kick back at Brandon Hanna when he comes at him like this, it shows me that he could handle whatever Hanna's throwing at him. If Ken were the manager, he could handle it. I fully believe that. So Ken spins Rogue One and decides to keep it, and he does just as well as Ace, getting 7 points here. The only difference is, on the question that he missed, Ace actually got the steal here, so he went up another point. So, he was up by 1 at the end of round 1. Now he's up by 2, 15-13. Ace taking the lead going into round 3. And I gotta say, it keeps happening again. Brandon Hanna just hammering Ken, hammering him over and over and over again. And I gotta say, I'm getting sick of his constant self-praise. There have been plenty of heels in this league. So many of them. And so many talked a big game and have just kind of puffed themselves up. And that's what he's doing here, but for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's getting under my skin. And he's starting to get what those in the wrestling fan community and business call X-Pac heat. Now, what this means, it's actual hatred, not just character hatred, but like actual hatred for the person himself. It's getting to that point, and I see it with a lot of people, because a lot of people can't distinguish between the two. Luckily, I'm a big wrestling fan. I know the difference. I can understand that. But the fact that he's starting to get to even me says a lot. Now, I don't know if that means he's doing a good job or not. I can't at this point. I mean, I guess that's what your goal is, but you don't want to push it too far. You don't want to get it to a point where you can't come back. Because the thing about the bad guys in these types of things, in wrestling and in this, is you still want those certain people who will cheer for the bad guy. You don't want everybody to not. You still want to be able to sell the heels merch. That's the whole thing. You still want to do that. I hate for a long, long time. I hated Triple H for a long time. But you know what? I respected the hell out of him, and I still own like T-shirts and action figures of that fucking guy. But I hated him for a long, long time. And Brandon Hanna's starting to get there. Or I should say, Brandon Hanna's starting to get past that and get to a point where I wouldn't buy a Brandon Hanna shirt. Sorry, guy. You are talented, and you played a great match against Saul. But yeah, you did lose. Twice against Chandru, 3 times, whatever it was. You haven't been able to beat Chandru, and I think that's where that's the thing. If you can finally do that, maybe you could legitimately talk this big game. But until that happens, I think you should tone it down just a notch. Now, for getting into round 3, this was just a crazy good round. I don't know where these two guys were. They both swept this round, getting all of their questions right. Where the hell was this in rounds 1 and 2? Like, I understand it's only 3 questions, but still, where the hell were you guys? Where was this? Where was this fire for rounds 1 and 2? Even if Ken had gotten one, they had gotten that one 2-point question that he missed. I think he went multiple choice on it, but if he'd gotten it as a 2-point question, bam, he would have won because Ace wouldn't have gotten that. It's literally one question. If he had gotten it without going to multiple choice, would have been a win. And I know, what ifs don't do shit. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's those little things that you gotta think about. And I don't know if Ken didn't study for this. It's not really his bag. He doesn't really go for that, and that's fine. He has said that he's kind of wanted out, and that's okay. He understands when he's done. Just like the Undertaker, he knows when he's ready to go, and he is. So yeah, with them both getting every question correct in this round, Ace retained his lead and wins the game 25-23, and now he will go on to face Laura Kelly in round 2 of this tournament. It's yeah, I am looking forward to that match for the simple fact that he continues to improve, but I want to see, can he improve enough to go toe to toe with someone like Laura Kelly, who took the current champion to the max. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I love Laura. She's the one who I'm hoping to see go all the way. Though I would not be disappointed with with like a Molly Damon going fighting against her own husband. I think that would be kind of cool. So this win gives Swag 3 more points and pushes them up into second place ahead of the Den. They finally have dethroned the Den for second place. This is huge. This is huge. It's still a close race, and the Den can still, whenever they got their next match, they can still do it. But this is big, 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 big. Another thing, Ace is now the first person ever to go 2-0 in the Star Wars division. Now, plenty of players have won 2. Well, I shouldn't say plenty. I think there was actually only a couple to win 2 matches. But none of them have ever won their first 2 matches. Not even the champion. Champion lost his first match and then has gone undefeated since and won. He's 5-1, I believe now. At least in the Star Wars division. But to go 2-0, that's huge, And if he wins again, then he continues to just be the only undefeated person in the Star Wars division, and that's big. Laura Kelly right now is 2-2, and so whoever wins this match, they hit that 3, and I'm pretty sure Damon's the only other one who's got 3 wins. I think Sam Witwer had 2, and I believe because like I said, Alex has 5. I think he's the only other one who's got over 2. So whoever wins this match will be right up there, vying for that. And you never know, they might top that if they can get all the way to Alex and beat him. Then there you go. They may just set a new record and be the new king or queen of the Star Wars division. Now, during the post interviews, Brandon again calls Ken a has-been, stoked his own fucking ego. Fuck this guy, man. Like, seriously, like, he sits there and he's like, I want to be the manager of the Droogs. Nah, no fucking way. You are not a manager. And this is why I truly think that we are going to see Ken Napzok become the manager of the Droogs. You got Brandon Hanna over here fucking around with him, calling him a has-been, all this other shit. And then to have, and vying for that spot. But then to have Ken Napzok come in and snake that manager spot from him and then be essentially like his boss, I guess, sort of whatever. I think that would be fascinating, to see what he could do. I don't know. I'm interested to see how they would play that. I mean, you don't want to like screw over a competitor's legitimate chances at getting a title, but hey, something would be interesting. I'm sure they could. I'm sure Christian, with his writing brain, could come up with something really, really kind of cool with that. And Laura wound up popping in during the Q&A because with the Twitch Star Wars live streams, they do a Q&A with the winners after. So I think it was like the last question was they brought the guy in for the last question, and before he could ask it, Christian was like, "Oh, hold on, we got a special guest in the studio right now," and he's like, "Okay, I'll bring you right back at it." And he put the other guy and brought Laura Kelly in, and she is so it's like I talk about how Brandon Hanna, his heel work is getting like X-Pac heat kind of level, like where he's cutting into like he's making people legitimately want to hate him. Laura Kelly is a fantastic heel, and I feel like she's doing it all the right ways. Where it's like you want to hate her, but you can't because she's just so fucking good and so awesome. I don't know. She's one of my favorites. She really is. And heel Laura, that's my favorite Laura. So keep that up, Laura Kelly. I'm digging it. I'm digging the hell out of it. That was a great match too. Just overall, I really enjoyed it. I do think, like I said, if you're going to be competitive and go for a title, you really need to step up your game. But just as a match, if you're just watching a match, I think it was a damn good match. It was solid. Neither of them like tanked out really. They just didn't perform at what I'm calling championship level, and that's where you need to be, unfortunately. But if you're just looking for a Star Wars match to watch, it's definitely worth it. So, all right. So the second match that I'm going to talk about was dropped on YouTube on Thursday, and that is Alex the Demon Damon versus the Mean Queen, Jen Kemp. That's right. So we've got Alex in his second Innergeekdom match so far, and Jen Kemp making her debut in the Innergeekdom League. And realistically, Jen is she's essentially a rookie. She had one match. She was technically in the free for all, but I'll be honest, I don't really count that. I mean, it doesn't go against your stats. So, this is realistically her debut match. That's just the way it is. And I thought this was good times. This was, like I said, this is Alex Damon's second match. It follows his TKO win against Emily Rose Jacobson back in March. And this was a solid first round from both of them. But again, you cannot afford to be missing questions like this. Alex Damon knows that. I mean, it's not like he tried to miss, but Alex Damon knows that, even missing one or two, that can cost you the match. When you have people as good as a Kevin Smets, as good as a Mike Kalinowski, as good as a Robert Parker seems to be, or as good as he is touted to be, at least we'll see. Once he's had at least one more match. I mean, you just can't be missing questions like this. It's and the round one at 8-7 in favor of Jen. You know what I mean? Like Alex isn't even in the lead here. Alex missed 3 questions in round one, and that's not great. Innergeekdom is competitive. It's very competitive. Like I said before, it is right there, neck and neck. Star Wars. You got Star Wars, in my opinion. Yeah, Star Wars is the most elite, and then Innergeekdom is right there. It's you gotta make sure you know all this stuff. And Jen started off behind. She missed that first question, caught up. They tied. I think I think it was like 6-6 when they finally tied. So it was like what, question 7. And then or something like that. It might have been question 8. And then took the lead in the end, 8-7. And it looked really good for her. I was very excited to see, how, I guess she, I haven't watched her fan league matches, but from what I understand, she's done really well over there. People seem to really like her over there, and that's awesome. I'm glad that she's getting this opportunity. And I do think she has a future here. I really do. But things have to. There are certain things. Okay, so we'll get into round 2, and it'll kind of make more sense when I get in round 2. There's things you got to make sure you study. So we get into round 2. Jen defers, and Alex spins heroes and villains. I don't blame them for spinning away from this, because like they say, it's like mixed bag. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's not worth sticking around to do it. It's not that it would not necessarily be a weakness for him, but it's so unpredictable that it's better to try again. And if you happen to land on it, so be it. Or if you happen to land on opponent's choice and they give it to you, so be it. But it's better to spin away, and that's what they did, and they landed on Star Trek. Now, yes, Alex Damon is the Star Wars champion, but this dude fucking knows Star Trek. Like, holy shit. Perfect fucking round, 10 out of 10, taking a 9-point lead. So Jen needs to get all of her questions in order to even tie. And she could only go to multiple choice once if she even wanted to tie. So he made it really difficult for her. And I'll be honest, that's one reason why I don't think, if I were to ever be in this game, I don't think I would play second. Because the pressure of playing behind, I don't think I would want to have to deal with that. I would just want to answer my question, get whatever points that I get, and then let the other person worry about having to catch up to me. And then if they catch up to me, then we go into round 3, and it would have been, that score is the score. It is what it is. But and plus, you have as many possible categories on the board as you can. But that's just me. I know certain people have their own strategies, and that's awesome. And if it works for them, that's great. So she didn't go up, but Jen spins Wizarding World, and she sticks with it. Now, I don't know if this is something that she just thinks that she's great at, and that's fine. Maybe in any other day, maybe she'd knock it out of the park with a 10 out of 10 in this category. I don't know, but it didn't happen here. She had a little bit of a rougher round, getting only 7 points. She had to go to multiple choice twice and missed one of them, and Damon stole that one. So he not only was he already up by 2 points, or would have been already up by 2 points, with the steal, it puts him up 3 points here ahead of Jen, coming out around 18-15. Alex regains that lead that he had early in round 1, and it's tough to come. Even a 3-point deficit can be tough in round 3. It just can. Jen missed her 2-pointer. Now I want to talk about this 2-point question for Jen Kemp. I'm positive that she misunderstood the question and rightfully misunderstood this question. Now the question was what was the 4th MCU film to be released in theaters directly after Iron Man 2? That's how it was read. Now, I think it should have been read, what was the 4th MCU movie to be released in theaters, with a pause, directly after Iron Man 2? It might have made more sense. I don't know. Honestly, I just think the directly after Iron Man 2 part should have fucking been gone. The question just should be, what was the 4th MCU movie to be released in theaters? Bam. End of fucking question. I think that Jen or Sam should have challenged this. They should have challenged the wording of this question, because obviously she was thinking, what was that 4th film after Iron Man 2? The 4th film to come directly after Iron Man 2, which I get, because she answers Iron Man 3, and that is what the 4th film after Iron Man 2 is. So she obviously misunderstood the question, but too much information in the question muddied it up. You know, having that extra directly after Iron Man 2 thing, first off, why do you need that? You know, that just makes it easier, in my opinion. If you're going to say, what was the 4th MCU movie to be released in theaters? Okay, so you just go through, okay, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor. Okay, boom, you land on Thor. There you go. But when you add this extra directly after Iron Man 2, first off, if you're like, okay, Iron Man 2, the next one was Thor. So you're already giving the person who's getting the question, like, kind of a little boost in it. You know what I mean? You're giving them help. And I think that I did not like this question at all. And they would have been tied, and instead of, so Jen was not able to answer her 5-pointer. Okay, she missed her 3, or no, she gets her 3. Wow, this whole 2-point question thing is just kind of bothering me. Oh, and there was one other thing I remember. After the question, she has they give the answer. She has this puzzled look on her face, and then you see the camera cuts. So something happened in that space. I'm curious if there was some sort of questioning of the question, if they were almost going to challenge and didn't. I don't know, and I want to know what happened there. You know, was there a potential challenge and they just cut all of it out? Just to clean up the episode. I don't know, but I want to know what happened there, because this question, I think that end of the question needs to be chopped off. It shouldn't be there. So Jen gets her 3-pointer, Alex gets his 2, and at this point it's down to Jen's 5. And right now the score is 20-18. But if she had gotten that 2-point question at this point in the game, it would be tied 20-20. All right, and then she misses her 5, so it would force Alex to have to answer his 3 and 5. Now, he might get them, but he might not. You know what I mean? He might not have gotten his 3 and 5. We will never know. Okay, he missed questions in round 1, so it's possible that he would miss a 3-pointer and a 5-pointer. Who knows? But we will never know. And theoretically, this could have been a very different outcome. But they didn't challenge, and I mean, at least as far as I know, because we didn't see what happened in that cut. I really, really wish that they had challenged and really, because I think it's legitimate. And if they had challenged and it had been not upheld, I would have been throwing chairs. I would have not been happy about that. But it is what it is. That's the game, and I do think that Jen played a solid match, and I'd love to see her back in action sometime. Alex wins 20-18. It's a deserved win. He played well. He crushed that second round, got a steal off of Jen, so he deserves. He did great, and I'm not taking anything away from Alex. He did fantastic, and again, he very well might have answered his 3 and or 5-point question. He very well might have. But I guess we'll never know. So Alex's win is a 3-point pickup for the Rock Stars. Much needed. Roxy has not been doing great this season, unfortunately. But hopefully hopefully when we get into the singles stuff and any sort of team stuff that I hope that they'll be doing. I don't know if they'll be doing teams. Doing teams on StreamYard might be difficult. I don't know. Because I'm not sure if you can go more than 6 people on StreamYard. And you would kind of have to, I think, because you would have Mark and Ken, and then you would have the 6, like the 6 team players. But and then how would you confer? Like, yeah, I don't see it as being possible to do teams this way. I don't know. I don't know if there's a way. But if there is, I'm sure Christian will find it. So that was the end of that match, and so we're gonna get into the final match of this week, and that was Jeannine the Machine versus John the Mad Hatter Humphrey. Now, John, he comes from the Real Rejects with Greg Elba, who we saw do a fantastic Innergeekdom match recently, and these two guys, they blew me away, with the sheer ability that they have. Like, we've seen them do some good stuff in the teams division. We saw John become the MVP of I think it was the first free for all, but they kind of fizzled out in their career. But man, these guys are solid in Innergeekdom. And if they ever had an Innergeekdom team division, I mean, they've done an Innergeekdom team match before with the Force Bros, and I think it was the Kempe and somebody else. I'll be honest, I can't even remember who it was, but it was Sam Witwer and Freddie Prinze Jr. versus Kempe and somebody else. And it's good stuff, man. They could theoretically, they really wanted, they could probably do an Innergeekdom teams division. I doubt that Christian would want to have to deal with more of like that before doing some of the other type of divisions that he wants to do. But so we get into round 1, and right off the bat, we get an almost controversial question, or not answer, I should say. With the Shmi, so they wanted to know the first name of Anakin's mother, and her name is Shmi, and it's spelled Shmi, and Jeannine spelled it wrong. She spelled it like Schmee, I think, something like that. But phonetically, that's correct. If you're saying it, Shmi, so you take that word and you say that word, it's said correctly. And she was given the points, of course. I wonder what happens if she goes second, because she answers this question before John, and so she says Shmi, so she obviously knows the answer. She just obviously doesn't know how to spell the answer. So my question is, does she get the point, or is there a case for a challenge if she were to go second and spell it wrong? Because I've been under the impression that if you go second, you have to spell it correctly, because you could just copy what the other person, the way they pronounce it, and so I'm curious if that's what would have happened. I don't know. That's something that you have to ask the chairman about, because I'm not 100% sure if that's how it would have gone down. But Jeannine pulls out a solid point, getting 9 points. She only missed one question throughout that whole round. And John gets away with 7. Again, another 7 points in round 1. All 3 of these matches that we've seen today have, somebody's gotten 7 points in there. So missing 3 questions, that's tough, man. But John really kind of turns it around, definitely in round 2. So Jeannine comes up because she's ahead. She defers. And John spins Wizarding World. We saw that recently with, I believe it was Jen Kemp. Wizarding World. And holy fucking shit, man. He destroyed this category. 10 out of 10. No question about it. He knows the Wizarding World. Like, I didn't know he was as good at that. So any of you guys out there who were thinking that this would be a pushover match and easy for Jeannine, man, he just showed that he is dominating in this Wizarding World. That's one of the harder ones. It really, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who have a hard time with it. It's kind of like Middle Earth as well, because there's a lot of weird names, a lot of kind of weird shit going on in it, and if you got to know all that stuff, and he obviously did. So then Jeannine goes up and spins Star Trek. And they think about it a little bit, and then she decides not to. And you find out later on that she thinks that she probably should have stayed. She was just hoping for something that she was a bit better at, like an MCU, but wound up landing on the DCEU, which apparently not so good at. We have found a weakness in the machine that hopefully she will target and study and get better at, so that this sort of thing never happens again. Because she got 4 out of 10 points. This is probably the worst second round that we've seen all tournament, I think. I don't believe anybody's gotten that low in round 2, unfortunately. I mean, she did great in round 1, but when you miss 6 points in round 2, especially after your opponent gets a perfect round 2, that hurts. It really hurts. She had 2 misses, and John got a 1-point steal off of it. Went to multiple choice 4 separate times. I mean, it was tough. It was hard to watch. I'll be totally honest with you. It was like, because I know Jeannine she's a fantastic competitor, and I'm sure she was kicking herself during this run. You could see it was hurting every time that she had to go to multiple choice. She was not happy about that, and rightly so. So round 2 ends 18-13 in favor of John Humphrey. 5 points. That is nearly impossible to come back from. It happens, but ask Frank Janish. I'm sure he's got the stats on how often somebody actually comes back and wins with a 5-point deficit. I'm sure it's not often. So we get into round 3, and Jeannine hits her first 2, forcing John to have to answer a question and preventing that TKO. Which at least, we didn't actually see any TKOs or KOs during this week. So, with Jeannine at least getting those, it prevents the quirky Mercs from getting an extra point in the faction standing. So there's at least that. That's something to be happy about, at least. Unfortunately, she was not able to get her 5-point question out, which was a tough one. They asked whose name, I can't remember what the actual name was, but you had to name the character who had this specific name, and it wound up being Slipknot from Suicide Squad. And I'm like, I almost said Slipknot in my head, but I'm like, I don't know, it just doesn't sound right, because I honestly don't know if I was just guessing. I don't know if I even remember them saying his name. I'm sure they did. It was probably on his dossier that's in the movie, but I do not remember that. I almost went with it, but I second guessed myself because, again, it was literally just a guess, and I didn't think that it was right. And so I don't blame her for getting that one wrong. I felt like it was a tough one, but maybe if there was a bit more DCEU studying going on, because there's not a ton of movies in there. There's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what, 7 movies, I think, right now in the DCEU. Obviously she knows that's a weakness, because right there she had DCEU in round 2, and the 5-pointer that she misses was a DCEU. So obviously it's a weakness, and she needs to tackle that before her next match, because if obviously competitors are watching this, they are, and they'll see that, and they will latch onto that. You get it. You roll opponent's choice, they're giving you DCEU right then and there. So if you practice, you study that, bam, you show them that, fuck you guys. I may have botched DCEU once, but never again. You fucking show them that you got it, because Jeannine, I know you got it. You have a bright future here. I know you do, and I look forward to seeing what more you do in the Innergeekdom League. So with this, John Humphrey takes a win 20-18, and gives 3 points to the quirky Mercs. Quirky Merc, I love Koi, and I'm excited to see. Every time I see a quirky Mercs match, I'm excited because I love just seeing Koi get on there and do his thing. But yeah, so that is everything that happened this past week. Some great stuff. I'm going to put up the standings right here. So we've got the current faction standings. We've got the Finstock Estate Exchange still in the lead with 22 points. Then we've got Swag, who overtook the Den this week with 16 points, and the Den right behind with 15. And then we've got the Burning Droogs and the Quirky Mercs and the Rock Stars all tied for technically they're all tied for third if you think about it. It's a little bit different here because it kind of goes by the win rate. So like the Burning Droogs have 4 wins, so I'm assuming that's why they're in 4th place. The Quirky Mercs and the Rockstars both have 3, but the Rockstars have played more games and only gotten 3. So I think that's how, I'm assuming that's how they're breaking down these standings. And then we've got the usual suspects in 7th place with 7 points, Corruption with 5, and the Dungeon way down at the bottom with 9 points, only getting that 1 win. Hopefully for them, they'll be able to pick up a few more wins coming up. Hopefully Robert Parker for them. Hopefully Robert Parker takes the next one. But yeah, so some important stuff going on. If Ken had won, then the Burning Droogs wouldn't be tied. They'd be up, and we'd see a different standing going on here. So right now I'm gonna pull up the brackets so we can kind of take a look at that. So we've got the current Star Wars bracket right now. We've got upcoming matches. We've got Molly Damon versus Andrew DiMolanta, and Laura Kelly versus Ace Cabrera. Those are going to be 2 really solid matches. I'm excited. I hope that Molly can strengthen up her weaknesses going into this match with DiMolanta, because he was a fucking beast here. Getting that perfect round, it was wild. So I really would like to see it be Molly versus Kelly, or Molly versus Laura, but if it is Andrew, so be it. As far as Ace goes, I think he's got a promising future in the Star Wars League. I just don't think he's quite there yet. But hey, he may surprise me. I didn't think he'd beat Ken, but he did, and fucking congratulations to Ace Cabrera, man. It was a fantastic job, and I am excited to see how well he does. I hope he takes more to the limit. I really do. But in the end, I really want to see Laura get another chance at that title. She came so close, and yeah, I really hope so. So next up, we've got the Innergeekdom tournament, tournament bracket. So we've got, right now we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more matches in round 1. We've got Chance Ellison versus Paul Oyama, Robert Parker versus Ben Goddard, Emily Rose Jacobson versus Eric Zipper, and Mike Kalinowski versus Greg Elba. Now, for these, I think Chance is a great competitor, but I do think that I just have this strong feeling that Paul is going to take this win. If Chance takes it, great for him, but I have this strong feeling it's going to be Paul. Between Robert Parker and Ben Goddard, oh man, like I want Ben Goddard to win. I think Robert Parker might win, but I'm not counting out my boy Ben Goddard because he has shown that he is not just some fly by night, just fucking casual player in any of these leagues. You know, he's won in every single league other than the Star Wars League, of course. Um, but he's a three leaguer, and I think he's got a solid shot here, and I would love to see him move on to round three. I really would, or I'll move on to round two. I mean, and then honestly, then move on to round three as well. Um, Mike Kalinowski versus Greg Elba. Greg did a fantastic job, but it's Mike Kalinowski. I can't. I think honestly, I think Mike's going all the way. And then we've got Emily Rose Jacobson and Eric Zipper. This is tough. I think I picked Emily Rose Jacobson last week. I think I'm gonna stick with it. You know, I like Eric Zipper. I think he has gotten a lot better, but I got faith in Emily Rose. I know that she lost back in March against Alex Damon, but this isn't Alex Damon. This is a new match, a new day, new competitor. I think I'm still gonna bank on it. And that's really where that's gonna be. I think in the end, man, I'm thinking. I know before I said Robert Parker versus Mike Kalinowski is what it's probably going to be. I still think it probably will. If Ben Goddard can pull out a win over Parker, fantastic. Then I think if that's the case, I think Ben might have a chance of making it to the finals against Mike. And I think that would be a fucking awesome, awesome thing to see. As far as Hannah versus Alex Damon goes, you can keep talking all that bullshit you want, Brandon Hannah, but when it comes down to Alex Damon, I don't know. You're gonna really have to work for it. I really believe you're gonna have to work for it because he's not gonna roll over. And Saul didn't roll over by any stretch of the fucking term. But yeah, you're going up against a demon now. So you better take all those fucking ego trips that you got rolling around and stow them in the overhead compartment because this flight is gonna get a little bumpy. So yeah, that is the Innergeekdom bracket. I'm excited to see. There's a lot more Innergeekdom stuff going on. I mean, there's only three more Star Wars matches, so we only got 3 more weeks of that, which is I'm sad about that. So I'm curious when this singles tournament is gonna start and what they're gonna do. Like if they're gonna do some other Schmoedown type stuff on Twitch. If they're gonna just go down to 2 Innergeekdom matches for a little while, if they're gonna do some just normal non-tournament singles play for a little while, if they have a plan for teams play, I don't know. But I'm excited. So coming up next week, we have got, let's see, Emily Rose Jacobson versus Eric Zipper, which will drop on Patreon on Monday for the $10 and up patrons, and on Tuesday for all patrons. And then on YouTube on Thursday, it will drop the Jacobson versus Zipper match. Then on Wednesday, live on Twitch, we've got the Star Wars match. It'll be Molly Damon versus Andrew DiMolanta. And on Friday on YouTube, Chance Ellison versus Paul Oyama. So be sure to check out all those matches. I am excited to see them myself. Thank you again for everybody who joined me today. It's been fantastic getting back in the groove of this and doing these live streams. It's something new for me. So thank you if you stopped by and watched, even if it was just for a few minutes. I really, really appreciate it. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. As you can see right down at the bottom there, where is it? Whoop, it's going by. Follow me on Twitter at Movie Blog Merc. You can also follow me on Facebook and on YouTube. You can subscribe there at Merc with a Movie Blog. And be sure to check out my website, mercwithmovieblog.com. Hopefully I'll be getting some new content up there soon. I've been really getting into these Hulu Into the Dark movies, these horror movies that they've got. I'm almost done. I think I've got like 3 left or something, but I've been really getting into those. So hopefully I'll write up some reviews, maybe do some video reviews. It's been something that I've been considering doing. I really probably should not stop considering it and just do it, right? I'm sure, but yeah, I'm really excited for that. So be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to check out the podcast network. That's anchor.fm slash movie blog Merc. Anchor.fm slash movie blog Merc. Have all kinds of great shows there. I've got SEN Afterlife. We've got Beyond the Screen, which is kind of like SEN Live. It's essentially just like it's a group of people just kind of talking about whatever they want. We do a Bachelor Nation podcast called Go Get That Rose. We have a Harry Potter podcast called Through the Port Key. We're going to be doing more Mandalorian reviews when the season 2 comes out. We've got season 1 up there right now. I cross promote my other podcast, which is Off the Ropes. It's a wrestling podcast that I do with my brother over on anchor.fm slash off the ropes JJ. You can follow that Twitter at off the ropes JJ. But I cross promote it on this anchor feed as well. And a new show coming to Merc with a Movie Blog called It Takes Two, inspired by William Bibiani and Whitney Seibold's podcast called Canceled Too Soon, where they do shows that lasted 1 season or less. We are doing, me and Mike Janik, who is one of the hosts of Beyond the Screen, are going to be doing, like I said, it's called It Takes Two, and it is all shows that have lasted only 2 seasons. No more, no less. 2-season shows. We are going to be talking about all that good stuff. We have a couple in the can right now. We did Agent Carter for our first episode, which was a great rewatch of that. And then Dead Like Me, which I love that show. The movie, not so much, but I love the show. So be sure to look out for It Takes Two and all the other great podcasts on the Anchor feed. I forgot to mention, we do a video game one called Game Over Screen, which Sean and his buddies have been doing some live streaming actually on the YouTube channel for, so check that out as well. All right, thank you everybody for my long-winded outro, for listening to all of that. I am Josh the Merc Raynor, and we have been Talkin Schmoedown. Catch you next time.